Hi everyone. So I wanted to discuss today mediumship and working with spirit. And I felt really called to talk about this topic because I know there's a lot of miseducation, misunderstanding, miscomprehensions surrounding the spiritual world and working and connecting with our loved ones and spirit as itself. And I felt really called to talk about this too because I know there's many of you who have experienced the same experiences that I have. And in a lot of my life, in my younger years, I had a lot of misunderstandings and miscomprehensions of spirit, which in so many ways held me back from my own healing and in so many ways really restricted me and held me back from stepping into and embracing my purpose in this lifetime. So that is why I felt really called to talk about this today. So in hand with mediumship and working with spirit, I really wanted to break down the energetic comprehension of spirit. This is really in hopes for you to gain a deeper understanding of what spirit really is. Other than this entity, there's like energetic levels to it as well. And as always, I like to state, I'm not here to tell you I'm wrong or right. I'm merely here to speak my truth. And, my truth is really gained from my own experiences, my own education that I have learned through the years, and also my awareness and knowledge I've gained directly from the collective conscious and my spiritual counsel. So for those of you this resonates with, that's awesome. For those of you that some of it does and some of it doesn't resonate with, take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. I totally understand and respect that we're all on different places of our path and we are all working through our own limiting and outdated beliefs. So again, please take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. So I typed up all these notes and I really just want to let you know if I'm looking over here, it's because I didn't want to miss anything and I have about 4 pages worth of notes I want to cover today. So let's begin by gaining a little deeper of an understanding about energy composition and the science of quantum physics. I feel like this is really important to explain and hopefully get our critical mind on board in understanding spirit in the spiritual realm. Everything is energy. Energy is not defined by time or space, but our human capacity, our mental and critical mind in this lifetime does define energy and receptive perspectives of energy. One thing I want to clarify is that when we are to be open and working with spirit, we have to get the mind, body, and soul on board. If one is out of place and not in balance, it makes it really hard for everything to be cohesively flowing, if you will. I want to clarify with energy, there is a difference between weight and density of the vibration of different objects or different things. So that's literally the difference between solid versus heavy, weight versus density. There are different weights associated to the vibrational levels of everything, our minds, our thoughts, our emotions, our energy. We ourselves, our physical body is a form of energy. It's a denser form of energy than our words and our thoughts. It is a denser form of energy than spirit or feeling other people's energy. That's why it's a solid form. So this is energy, but this is a solid form of energy, glass, and it holds a vibration. The words that I'm speaking is energy, but it is a different weight. It's not solid, but it still holds a vibrational energy. So on a scientific basis, that's the difference between weight versus density, solid versus heavy. There are layers of vibrational weight. So there's low vibration to higher vibration. Lower vibration would be what we would consider negative energy or darker energy or anger, hate, sadness, meats, low vibrational foods, sugars. And then the higher vibrations are what we would consider more elevated, which would be positivity, love, kindness, nutrient-rich foods that are organically grown. So that is like the scale, and there's many things that can be categorized on that scale, from high to low, or weight, less to heavier weight, if you will. Again, our physical body, and in this physical realm, is energy. It's just a denser form of energy. Spirit is a lighter density of energy. Spirit is also a higher vibrational and lesser weight of energy. You probably heard when the soul leaves the body, we actually lose a fraction of a weight. I think it's 0.02 ounces or something. I didn't actually do I didn't double check on that, but there is a scientific study that when our soul leaves our physical body, it loses a portion of weight in that instant. So there's a weight to our soul itself, our energetic body. Energy is not defined by time or space, but our human capacity, our mental and critical mind in this lifetime has been defining it. Our mental capacity and comprehension keeps us in what's called a three-dimensional reality based out of our five senses. So we perceive our reality literally based out of our five senses: touch, hearing, scent, smell, and sight. If it's out of that realm of five senses, it's hard for our critical and subconscious mind to comprehend things. That's where we get into the space of, if I can't see it, I can't believe it if I don't see it. Or what our mind actually is conditioned to do is, if we can't understand something, we immediately fear it or we completely disregard it. So that is why it's really important that we get our subconscious and critical mind on board when we want to work with spirit or be open to spirit. Because if we don't, our subconscious mind likes to have a little voice and dictate its own influence on our experience with spirit. We also have an energetic body. That's our chakra system, our meridians, our auric field. That's housed within our denser energetic physical body, but ultimately they are completely intertwined. That's why through our awareness of our energetic body and making sure that it's healthy and maintained, as well as our exterior physical denser body, they both need to be balanced in order to create that harmony within our life. So when we get our mind on board and accepting and understanding the spiritual realm and spiritual capacity, gaining enlightenment and energetic ascension, we begin moving past the 3D comprehension. Mind, body, and soul must be on board. This is why I felt talking about the energetic comprehension of spirit and energy work was really important for those of us who are still in this mentality of the five senses, only the five senses. If it's out of the five senses, it's really hard for us to process and digest. Not necessarily that we don't want to, it's just our mind plays such a critical role in how we perceive everything in this lifetime, everything around us. So when we can gain that insight and that knowledge in a way that resonates with us and makes us feel a little bit more comfortable or safe, that's what our subconscious and critical mind are in place for, to keep us safe. It helps us be a lot more open and understanding the reality in which we live. So I want to talk about this psychological comprehension of what brings fear into the equation of being open to spirit. So thank you everyone who messaged me directly on their own experiences. I wanted to get an idea of where people stand with this so I could collectively put it together in this discussion, because I know a lot of people can resonate with it. I know, like I said before, I had a lot of preconceived misunderstandings about spirit and working with the spiritual realm for many years, and it really made it difficult for, again, my own healing to be acquired, and it made it really difficult for me to step up and embrace my path and my purpose. So the critical mind, fear of the unknown. We naturally fear or completely disregard what our critical mind cannot comprehend. When we do experience something of the unknown, our subconscious mind wants to chime in and influence. For much of my life, from about 9 to 20 years old, I filled my subconscious with very false narratives and perceptions of the spiritual realm. For those of you who don't know, I had spiritual or paranormal experiences from very young in my life. up until about 9 years old. And I believe that's when things started to get weird for me, because I started being exposed to scary movies and false narratives of people's experiences. And like, my mom had me literally watch The Exorcist, the original one, at 9 years old. And I think that was like the day I decided I wasn't okay with seeing full fruition of spirit. And that really caused a lot of fear for many years of my life when I was experiencing paranormal experiences, because when I was experiencing it, my subconscious would chime in and interpret it based on how I'd interpret psychic experiences, paranormal experiences in television, in TV, in hearing people's experiences. So for those of you who are really drawn to the paranormal world and getting that rush from watching scary movies, I would suggest starting to take a step away from that, because it's very false. It is a very false perception of spirit and working with the spiritual realm. And when we expose ourselves to that, and when we allow our subconscious to be filled with that false narrative, it heavily influences the way we perceive spirit. Okay. With that being said, low vibrations versus high vibrations. I want to talk about this too, because I've heard over the years, and for myself, I had misperceptions of this as well. But this idea of dark entities, oogly boogly, scary ghosts, we have to understand that heaviness that's associated with them is an association with a lower vibration. It's not, I would not say, this scary, meant to hurt you energy. It's just the manifestation of these lower vibrations, and we actually created that manifestation ourselves. When we start feeling into it and we start adding attention to it and putting our awareness and our energy on it, it begins to manifest, if that makes sense. So low vibrations, when we experience it, it's actually anger, resentment, hurt, sorrow, fear, all of those lower vibrations that have been expressed into the world, expressed outwardly by individuals. They're still there. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can just be transmuted, and that can go both ways. So I will not lie to you when I say there's no such thing as like low vibrations or dark energies, but how are we defining these dark energies? They are lower vibrations. Whereas higher vibrations is, again, this positivity, this love, this compassion, this fulfillment, this happiness. Those are higher vibrations, higher experiences. And I really want to clarify that, because I feel like there is a very miscomprehension of the dark and the light in this world. And I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to like sugarcoat the darkness in the world, but understand it for what it is and not what Hollywood has created in our subconscious to interpret it as. So we will perceive these vibrations depending on our how our subconscious wants to perceive them. This will go for a whole scale. Someone experiencing love that has been a victim of sexual abuse or trauma will experience love differently than someone who hasn't. That's our subconscious influence. So that's like a real life situation. Someone who has had trauma based out of love will perceive the sensation or the vibrational energy of love differently than someone who has not been exposed to it. So I hope that kind of clarifies and resonates with you in understanding how every individual will perceive those energies differently. Much of what we often recognize as low vibration may be defined as negative entities, evil, harmful, really are manifestations of the lower vibrations. Because there is such a focus on them, where our mind goes, energy follows, plus our own subconscious influence, these energies can become something stemmed from our imagination that is not really true. So let me give you an example. When we blow something out of proportion, we are already in a state of heightened awareness. And that makes us that makes it difficult to perceive the situation for what it factually is. I'm sure we've all experienced this when we are just not in our right mood, our right zone, and we're already so heightened that when we experience something that triggers us or that makes us feel uncomfortable, we instantly go into reactive mode. And it does not mean that it is the truth. It's just how we are perceiving it. Our subconscious has influenced us to perceive it. So in applying that to the spiritual realm, one of the best quotes I ever heard was in a workshop with Gordon Smith. And he said, he is a global renowned psychic medium. And he said, I don't believe in haunted houses. I believe in haunted people. Our mind is very complex. It's very influential, and it can be a very tricky thing. You've heard the mind can play tricks on us. And when he said that quote, it really clicked in my head in understanding how people perceive energy to different various degrees based on their own, again, subconscious and experiences. Someone experiencing a spiritual phenomena or paranormal phenomena who has not done the work in releasing energetic baggages and false outdated beliefs with a heavy subconscious influence will perceive spirit expressing their energetic awareness of difficulty communicating as someone trying to suffocate me. Typically, unless you have extremely developed clairaudience, which even then takes more energy than is necessary. Where am I going with this? Sorry. If someone has not done the work, has not received proper training and education, has not really resolved those traumas and energetic blockages within their subconscious, but have a heightened sense of awareness, maybe developed, maybe naturally developed, if they are to experience spirit trying to communicate something to them, such as them having difficulty speaking in their lifetime, they're trying to convey that to you, if you don't understand that for what it is, you will instantly feel the pressure in your throat, feeling like someone is suffocating you. Versus as someone who's experienced, someone who has done the work, someone who has been educated and trained properly, will immediately understand that awareness is being brought to my throat and spirit is trying to convey to me in this lifetime that he had a difficulty communicating and expressing himself. There is a difference. Do you understand how those are two of the same exact experiences, but totally different perceptions? And this perception of feeling strangled is based out of fear and preconceived notions that are not true, false narratives that we've been conditioned with, versus someone who has retained the proper information and education and training and have finely tuned their skill in order to perceive spirit clearly. There is a difference. The same thing I want to say is applied to curses and hexes, because I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me if I do hex removals and whatnot. Spirit has to respect the law of free will. So no one can put a negative energy on you unless you allow it. You allow it by subconsciously and sometimes unconsciously accepting it. This is where energetic boundaries come into play. Your energy is your own energy. You have a right to your energy and how you, what you allow yourself up. Well, I can't talk today. Your energy is your own energy, and you have a right based out of free will to allow what comes into your energetic awareness and what does not. If you want to create energetic boundaries, formerly known as energy protection, I want to clarify the difference. You have a right to do that, and the law of spirit, the law of the universe, the law of energy has to respect that. If you have a good relationship with your guides, or you're in the process of building that with them, you can actually ask them to delegate what energy is allowed into your space, what makes you comfortable. It should be an open relationship and dialogue with your guides, because they're here to assist you. Okay. So circling back around to like hexes and curses, if someone says, I hex you, I'm going to put this hex or curse on you, and your subconscious is like, oh my God, now I feel threatened. Now I'm scared. Now I'm going to be focusing and drawing all my attention to this hex that has been put on me. And now, again, where your mind goes, energy follows. And now you're focusing on the fact that that person projected some type of anger or resentment or negative, low vibrational energy at me. And now I'm focusing on it. And now I'm allowing myself to interpret it and feel it. Versus someone saying, you don't have a right to do that. You cannot disrespect my free will or my energetic boundaries. So everything that you project out karmically is going to return back to you. There is a difference. That's taking the power of your own energy into your own hands. And that is totally applicable. That is totally doable. So for anyone who's experienced that and felt uncomfortable with that or fear that, I want to bring some comfort to you in knowing like you have all the right to say, I'm not open to this. I don't believe in that. I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to accept it. And not allow your energy to start feeding in and manifesting something that someone projected at you. Okay? So, with that being said, are you all still following me? Does that resonate and bring clarification? If you have any questions about this, please comment below. I would love to address any questions. So, moving on, I want to address working with spirit and mediumship. I want you to understand when I reference spirit, source, the collective energy, universe, God, they all are essentially the center point of the highest vibration of love and light. Our soul and our loved ones' souls are an extension of that center point, that highest vibrational love and light. When we work with true spirit, we are working with the highest vibrations of love and light, compassionately and respecting our free will. So there should be no fear associated with working with spirit if we have the right intentions and we understand where spirit is ultimately coming from, okay? This is where communicating again with your guides, placing energetic boundaries and asking for them to delegate who you allow your sensitivity to be open to comes in. So I post about her regularly, but Sanaya Roman is amazing. She's an amazing writer and she has a series of beautiful books. And for those of you who are psychically or mediumistically sensitive, Beginning to Channel, I believe is the title of her book, I would definitely check that out because she has a lot of really rad exercises that can help you get more comfortable in creating those energetic boundaries and getting more familiar with your energetic body. When working with spirit, it is incredibly important that we have done the work, we have done the healing, we have rewired our subconscious in the process to perceive spirit truthfully. If we have not, our subconscious will cause it to go in a way that will cause us to perceive spirit incorrectly. So I want to let you guys all know that I've had to do a lot of work over the years. I've done a lot of research. I've had a lot of my own experiences. I've done a lot of workshops and education and mentorships and healings to be where I am today and understand with clarity spirit itself, in all honesty, and its truth. And that has allowed me to connect in with spirit and perceive clearly and step out of my own way, ultimately out of my subconscious way, out of my critical way, to be a clear channel to work with spirit. So for those of you who are beginning your path or on your path, there's always room for growth. And I really do encourage that you continue to grow, that you continue to step outside of yourself and learn and gain, because this path is expansive. The universe, spirit, God is entirely infinite and expansive. So there's always room to grow and learn, and I encourage that you do. When we work with spirit, it's incredibly important that we have a passive mind when doing this work, and that takes development time and patience. If we cannot step out of our own mind, which if we haven't done the work and done the healing, makes it really difficult, we again cannot perceive spirit clearly. Why mediumship is so valuable. We are emotional beings. We have a array of emotions that we are to experience within this lifetime for our own soul's development. We are karmically contracted into this lifetime to experience this, learn this, etc., etc. And through our emotions, we actually understand and interpret and grow. This is part of our soul's, again, development and our ascension in this lifetime. Every process of loss is different. For those of you who don't know, I lost my mom when I was 23. She went to bed one night and her heart just stopped, and it was very unexpected, and I did not gain any closure from that experience, and it was a really big emotional roller coaster at that time of my life. And in fact, it was so big that it actually projected me into my own spiritual reawakening, if you will. And I felt called to talk about this too, because again, I know there's a lot of people that can resonate with this. And my mom was a truly amazing soul, even through all her flaws and the human experience. And my 23 years with her was a lot of lessons and experiences that I actually didn't quite learn all from until after her passing, and years after her passing, and still I'm learning things after her passing. But I will say that through the process of grief and stress and loss, I personally experienced a lot of resentment, remorse, abandonment, regret. I felt very lost and isolated because I didn't have the opportunity to gain that closure or that healing at that time, because everything was so abrupt. It was literally like my heart had been ripped out of my chest and the ground was taken out from under me. And I carried a really heavy weight of hurt around for a long time. It like hurt even on like a physical level. And if you've heard me talk about energetic comprehension, when we suppress energetic trauma to any degree, it can manifest in multiple ways. Sometimes physical form, sometimes emotional form. And I physically felt that pain for many months after losing my mother. And there was like so many days I didn't want to get out of bed. There were so many days that I'd rather take a Valium and not feel anything, just to step away from the whole experience. And that's not good. I don't even take aspirin, so I was not in a good place at that time. And as I talked before, suppressing trauma and not addressing it and healing it only causes energetic blockages that manifest over time, which can eventually lead to physical ailment and emotional triggers. So that trauma, when we experience loss, does need to be addressed, and it does need to be healed. Shortly after my mother had passed, I had a series of bizarre experiences, and I won't get into detail with it, but it led me to seeing a medium. And for 23 years, even though I've had plenty of experience with spiritual phenomenon in the psychic realm of awareness, I was still so at surface level that I was like, I don't need to see a medium. But I had a series of very bizarre things that affirmed to me intuitively that time was now to see a medium. And it was truly an amazing experience. It really helped me open up and start to address some of the trauma and the weight that I had been experiencing. That allowed me to gain healing and gain closure that I ultimately needed to grow from. It also was really affirming to know that my mom, even though she wasn't physically here in person, she was very much around in spiritual form and spirit vibration and spirit weight. So again, out of the five senses, because if you can't physically touch or feel or talk to someone, it's really hard for our mind to process that. And to know that she's still around me and that I can feel her and I still receive intuitive awareness from her was really affirming that, one, there's life after life, and two, my mother is very much around to this day. And the same thing is applied to all of you who have experienced loss of a loved one. They are still very much around. But I will say that loved ones, even in their passing, will experience their own traumas and the weight of traumas they carried within their lifetime as well. From my understanding, when spirit crosses over, they go through a period of resting. They call it the resting. And that is a period of time where they get to rest and really process the whole lifeline they lived, in recognizing on their karmic contract, did I do this? Did I not do that? Am I still carrying this? Did I learn this? Etc. And our loved ones can still carry the weight of trauma even on the other side. So when we ourselves are able to heal our own trauma connected to that person, they can heal as well. So there's a lot of healing that can be done when we can understand spirit much more fully, when we can receive that healing and that awareness and closure through mediumistic work. So for any of you who have been interested in a medium but have been really resistant because of false narratives, which can be on a wide scale, like religion, family, environment, preconceived notions, watching scary movies and filling our subconscious with a bunch of like false stuff. I hope that in talking about this, you understand a little bit more truth to what it is to working with a medium and working with spirit themselves. Okay. So with that being said, I hope that this discussion brought more awareness to those who needed it at this time. I hope it clarified and allowed you to feel a little bit more comfortable in embracing whether it's your intuitive gifts or your psychic gifts, or helped you gain a little bit more closure for those of you who have lost someone, and knowing that your loved one is still very much around, and they'll probably be so happy to be able to connect with you and convey to you and share with you whatever it is they didn't get to within this lifetime. So thank you for letting me share all that. Thank you for everyone who took the time to listen to this. And again, if you have any questions or have any input about anything, like please comment in the text box below. I'd love to hear about it, okay? Thank you.